Good morning, Lancaster Mennonite teachers and admin. Wow, 2 weeks are gone since the school opened. We have been praying that there be no incident, and we are so grateful that this far that has been the case. This due to God's grace and also the work that you have all put into preparing to open safely and also to provide excellent education to our students. As a member of the board, I am proud of each of you. And also as a board, we are grateful for the work that you are putting to ensure that safety precautions are in place, but also that excellent education continues to be given to our children. During this pandemic, we have continued to work with leaders both stateside and around the world at Center for Serving Leadership. We have come across human beings who are committed to making a difference in the world, waking up every morning with a deep sense of purpose and making a difference in the lives of people. I consider you among those leaders. That said, however, it is also true that you're human beings and not machines. You need to rest. You need some time of respite. And so I think it's fitting that you have taken a day like this to reflect, a day of in-service, but it's a time for you to also reflect on the last 2 weeks. But in that reflection, we also take time to rest. Leaders are experiencing a lot of stress, and this stress can become chronic. In their book, Resonant Leadership, Richard Boyatsi and Anna McKay write, the constant sacrifice and stress inherent in effective leadership can cause us to lose ourselves and sink into dissonance. There is no appropriate time that I have known to take this seriously as now. It's time for us to rejuvenate ourselves, to find ourselves cycles, they call it cycles of sacrifice and renewal. Now, they suggest doing things like mindfulness, practicing compassion, and also being hopeful. In that spirit of that book, I'd like to invite you to the words of Jesus, who said, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or lift or fitting or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." That's from Matthew 11:28 to 30 from the Message version. It is in the state of well-being that we minister. We do work out of who we are. When we are not well inside, when we're not taking care of ourselves, data shows that emotions are contagious. And so when we are not rested, when we're not being renewed ourselves, it is very difficult then to give something else that you don't have to someone else. And so it's important for us to listen to these words of Jesus, to practice these rhythms of renewal, time of rest, good sleep, eating well, exercise. I'm sure you know that. You are teachers, so I don't need to tell you all that. But we are also human beings, and these moments of trying to take care of our children, trying to do all the things that we are required to do, are also moments that we neglect the most important things in our lives. And so I don't feel bad saying those things to you. But I do believe that we need to continue to take those things seriously as we care for ourselves in order to be able to care for the students that we are called to serve. This year, you have a theme of well-being, which you're drawing from Jeremiah 29, verse 7. In Jeremiah, the situation there was just as dire. It was an exile situation. It was an occasion for people to complain about the exile. It was a time to begin to look back and wonder what pre-exile was like. In our situation, it's probably what we are facing is people are asking, when can the normal be back? How can we get back to where we were before the pandemic? Jeremiah wanted to help the people to know, not to have any illusions about the normal, about returning. Exile was there to stay, but they needed to figure out, to learn ways to adapt so that their lives will continue, even though they were in exile. And so, as we read that text, the Babylonian captivity had happened, and the people of God were away from Jerusalem. But they needed to know that they did not need to be back in Palestine for God to be faithful, or at least for them to be a faithful people. God was already there with them, and which was good news in itself. But even better news is that if the Israelites were to pray for the peace of Babylon, God would answer their prayers, and in Babylon's peace would also be the well-being and peace of Israel. And so in this moment, we're seeking the well-being of our children, of our students, of our teachers, of our staff, and the well-being of our communities, both here and around the world. Let us continue to pray and remember that in the midst of all this, there are also going to be voices. In Jeremiah's case, there were false prophets who were coming and providing false hope, causing division in the community. Jeremiah invited them to not pay attention to those voices, but rather to pay attention to God, a God who had a plan and a hope for the future. So we know that from Jeremiah 29:11. I have good plans for you, plans not to hurt you, not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. That hopeful future is what we are called to as a people of God, as God's people, amidst the pandemic that we are living through. And so I invite you as God's people to pay attention to the sense that you are called to be hope-bearing people in a hopeless world, or in a world that is running short of hope. You are called to be in this place, to hold that hope for our students, to hold that hope for our teachers, to hold that hope for our community. And so Jeremiah finishes here. Let me just finish with these words in Jeremiah 29:12. In that state of hopefulness, when you call, the Lord will answer. In that place of hopefulness, our prayers will go a long way. So as you work, as you continue to seek the Lord in this moment, I pray with you that God's grace will cover you and that your life will continue to make a difference in the life of our children and our community. May God bless you, and may you continue to experience renewal in your souls, in your bodies. In the name of Christ, I pray for you. Amen.